When your only consistency is being inconsistent, your progress goes the wrong direction. Welcome back to Imperfect Golf. In this episode, I'll talk about some things off the course, specifically some inconsistencies and some habits that I formed early in the year, some chronic pain I've been experiencing in my shoulders, and a little Faith Freedom Golf update. If you're not familiar with that, I'll talk about that here in a moment. Then on the course, I participated in a scramble, been doing some golf league things with my church, and I will recap a 9-hole round that I played here this last Friday, and we'll see how that goes. I'm curious to see how that turns out here in this video, so I'll be looking for some feedback on that if you're inclined to do so. But then I have a question for the audience regarding how you do some certain things with assessing your game after rounds, that sort of thing. So I'll be asking that here at the end. So with all that, that's kind of the intro. Let's get into the episode here. And we are going to start off the course just because that feels like the place to start off. So off the course, essentially all the habits that I formed during the chase for 230. If you've watched that in the past, I had some habits for related to my diet, related to exercise, related to golf training. Pretty much all of those have been inconsistent, or I've had to change them for various reasons over the last 2 to 3 months. Really, with the diet, this one's just on me. I'm not tracking water intake. I'm not tracking calories or protein or anything else. And for me, anyway, that's kind of a recipe for disaster. So that's kind of how things have gone. Not a horrible disaster, but definitely not making progress I would like to, just because of the inconsistency in that regard. So exercise. I had basically abbreviated almost all the strength training that I was doing, and I wasn't doing anything super intense. Uh, and I'd been pretty consistent with mobility training, but really my shoulders like have been killing me. I don't know how to describe it. It's not like a constant pain, but there's a nagging pain, and it's really kind of the way I describe it is kind of between the shoulder blades and a little bit directly under the shoulder blades. It sounds like there's some muscles in there. So anyone who understands how all that works, they call it the subscapular regions of my shoulders. Is what I've been dealing with. So I started some physical therapy on that through a local medical system here, and that's going all right. They're doing some like ultrasound treatment to kind of do some heat, some deep heat of the muscles and stuff like that. It's supposed to repair some scar tissue and that sort of thing. I'm curious to see how that helps, but I'm exploring other options that I think might go a little bit deeper, might be a little bit more aggressive at attacking some of the things that I'm doing. I hope to have an update on that maybe in the next week or two, and I might have a video on how that goes. So that one I'm very curious about. So since I started doing the physical therapy, though, I've adapted my morning workouts to do what the physical therapist has laid out for my shoulders primarily. So I've been kind of neglecting a little bit of everything else, trying to straighten that out. Also, they don't want me doing a lot of push stuff, so a lot of chest things. They want to pull that all back. So that's been frustrating for me because I enjoy some of those workouts, and not doing those is kind of a little frustrating. I have been doing some versions of air squats and stuff like that to keep my lower body going, but not a lot. All those things add up to I'd gotten down to roughly 210 pounds doing the chase for 230. My goal is to get down to 200, and I've put on about 2.5 more pounds, so I was floating around 213 pounds, I think. So that's that. And right now, like I said, I'm continuing to focus on the physical therapy and some of those things, but I need to incorporate more if I'm going to maintain some level of progress there. So I need to work on that. Golf training has kind of been non-existent due to just other things. My routine's kind of been thrown off with school being let out, and we have some babysitting that happens here during the day. So I tend to be gone away from home more just because it's a little bit loud. So I go into the office. What I have done though is I've been doing some kind of a variation of a gate drill. I actually got from 18 birdies when I did a little assessment there with one of their coaches. And I set up one head cover kind of behind and outside of my ball, and one head cover ahead and just inside the ball. So it sets up a good gate there, trying to provoke an in out swing. And I think it's helped a little bit, but honestly, when I go out and play and my shoulders get to be irritating me, I can't move the way that I want to. So honestly, a lot of that's been a little discouraging. So that is kind of what that is right now. So, as I said, the only thing that I've been consistent at regarding progress in my golf game recently has been being inconsistent. So, hoping to turn that around here quickly. I think some of the physical therapy and some of the calls that I've made in that regard might might help make that a little bit more of a reality. So that's off the course in general. I do have an update on the Faith Freedom Golf campaign. If you've been following that at all, I'm really grateful for the campaign. The shirts really look great. I might put one up here in the editing as well. I'll put a picture. There's a blue shirt and blue shirt and a red shirt. That have Faith Freedom Golf on the back of them. But they really turned out pretty sharp. So I'll put them up here in editing so you can see them. I know you're watching this, so you don't know, but for me, I have to remind myself that it's going to happen. So that's where we're at this level of my YouTube journey. So there you go. So for the campaign, though, I mean, my goal was to raise $5,000 by selling T-shirts and have my grandpa's name put on the Wall of Honor at American Dunes and pay for one scholarship. I had $400 donated from some friends and family who wanted to donate to the cause but aren't necessarily golfers. And I think actually as of today, I've sold 23 shirts. So all in all, just over $600 has been raised. So really, I have enough to put my grandpa's name on the Wall of Honor, and that's great, and I'm happy to do that. I just wanted to raise as much as I could for the Folds of Honor because I appreciate what they do for veterans and for first responders and for the families. So, anyways, if you've not seen it, there's a playlist called Faith Freedom Golf on my channel. I talk on there about the 7th Infantry in Korea, and one episode is called God's Protecting Hand. That is my grandfather's account of the final battle of Port Chop Hill. So if any of that stuff interests you, it really is more on my grandpa and the 7th Infantry in Korea than it is anything else. But if you appreciate those sorts of things, I'd encourage you to check them out. I also did the day after Memorial Day, drove over to American Dunes and made a couple other stops. I put 300 miles on the road putting stuff out and trying to put the word out there about the campaign. So I don't at this point think I'll hit my goal for my fundraising, but I will have learned a lot. So it's definitely I'm glad that I've done the campaign, but I'll be glad when I can kind of focus on what I want to be focused on really, which is doing this content, kind of sharing my journey, hopefully encouraging other people to assess their game and aim for some targets and start advancing towards them. Those sorts of things. That's a lot of what Imperfect Golf is about, but also the faith, freedom, and golf. That's really a big part of who I am. It's a big part of my identity, thinking about my faith and how much I value the freedoms we have here in America and just enjoying the game of golf. So it's been good. On the course, I have a few individual rounds I've played, and I'm mostly playing 9-hole rounds right now. I haven't played 18 holes other than a scramble. So, and then for the golf league, it's a 2-man scramble, and so I've played 3 rounds of that so far. I guess I can put scores in here. I don't know how much the scores really that important for this. But if you're curious, I can share those next week. So if you want to hear how my golf league is going for my scores on that, go ahead and let me know. I am kind of curious to see how the handicap system works out because I built an app using Claude that will generate a handicap based off of our scores. So we'll have handicap set off of our best performing team for the first 3 rounds. That team will be scratched, and everyone else will be handicapped based off of that. So I'm curious to see how that just plays out. It's a first attempt for me, but I'm enjoying it. So there's that. If you're curious about that, let me know in the comments, and I will share more there as much as I can. Also played in a scramble this last Monday with a few guys from church and other guys. It was a Christian school. It's like an organization, I guess that you could say that we're supporting in that. My group shot 10 under, which for us was pretty good number. That was we were happy with that, and we just had a good time. So always happy to do those things. Solo round. I wanted to see how I could recap a round, and really it's something I've been struggling with. It's something I'll be asking here later in this video, is how other people assess the rounds and try and do that. How do you set what you were trying to track? I'm not just trying to track fairways and greens and regulations. I want to track how well I'm performing on the course as far as my ball striking is concerned, that sort of thing. So we'll get into that here in a little bit. But I did let me not get ahead of myself here. I'm gonna rewind that a little bit. I'm going to attempt to put some screenshots up here in editing. Again, I'm letting you know what I'm doing because I'm going to see how this works. So I'm learning this as I go. I have screenshots that I took from 18 birdies that I'm going to throw up here that hopefully it'll make sense. And I'll be able to follow as I go through each hole. So let me know how that goes. I'm really interested in feedback because I put these out here. I really want these videos to be quality and people to want to follow them. So if you have feedback on anything, it's really open game. You won't hurt my feelings unless you're a jerk, and then I'll probably delete your comment. So that's on you. But I'm guessing most of you won't be jerks, so I'm not worried about it. All right, so I golfed the back nine at Dutch Hollow, which is the local course. It's about 10, 15 minutes from my house. And I tried to capture my round using an app called Otter AI, which is really just a transcription app. So I just opened up a note or whatever they call it on there, and I just talked through it and I'd pause it and restart it basically when I started each hole. And then when I got up to my tee shot, I would, just kind of talk about where I'm at, what I was doing. So I just kind of talked through my round a little bit. It's kind of trying to follow sort of a format. Like if you ever watch like the Brian Bros or Grant Horvat or anyone like that, they kind of talk through the rounds a little bit as they're going through it a lot of times. I thought that would help me personally. I enjoy listening to them do that, and I thought maybe that'd help me recap my rounds well. So I did that, and Otter AI kind of creates a little bit of a summary, but I don't think knows the game of golf that well. So I kind of dropped that into Claude for a summary and really went back into the 18 Birdies app and kind of edited which clubs it thought I used for the shots and all those sorts of things. So I actually did a fair amount of analysis after this round, which was cool. It took a fair amount of time, but I mean, I feel like it was good for me to kind of process that round. So anyways, that was my approach. That was a lot of context there, but I'm really trying to figure that out. And I'm probably going to more often record myself out there just talking through the rounds because I have the audio. I could play the audio here. I could play it wherever I wanted. But I kind of have a bit of a summary of the rounds, and that was helpful for me. So all that said, this is my first attempt at recapping a round that I played. This, like I said, this is just 9 holes, back 9 at Dutch Hollow. So we'll get into it here a little bit. And I'm just reading a little bit of notes here on my screen. So hole 10, where I started, it's a par 3. It's 115 yards. For me, on that day, I choose to hit a 9-iron. That's often a little bit short, but if I hit just a nice soft 9-iron, I usually can get that in that 115-yard range. So that's what I went with. My tee shot went about pin high, but I was left of the green, so I had to hit a 58. It's an elevated green, so I hit a 58 up. Left myself with about a 6 to 8 foot putt, and went ahead and missed that, and ended bogey in hole number 10. And then on hole 11, it's a par 4. It's about 350 yards. It's mostly straight on that hole. But I don't know what happened on my drive, but like I have issues with my shoulder right now, and I know I have a out-in swing that causes a really weak drive. So my drive on that one went about 175 yards, I think. So that left me with a decent approach shot in for that one. And I think I took a 6-iron on that shot and ended up going off to the right and had a fair amount of work to do there and ended up taking a 6. So I double bogeyed that hole. And then hole 12 is a par 3. It's about 165 yards. And I took that tee shot and went far right underneath a tree. I did chip that to within 8 foot. But then I left my putt just short, I mean, just off the edge of the hole. So I bogeyed that hole. Hole 13 is a par 5. It's about 428 yards. I had a good drive on that one. I don't remember the distance, and it's not in these notes here, but a decent drive for me. But what I ended up doing on that one, to try to be strategic, I guess, I tried getting within 100 yards for a wedge shot. So I hit my 7-iron, and I put it almost exactly where I wanted to put it. But then I pulled my gap wedge. I pulled my gap wedge out of the bag, but then I pulled my shot left, and then ended up having a 2-putt that one from 10 feet, and I got another bogey. Hole 14 is a par 4. It's a pretty good dogleg left. So I usually kind of try to end up, almost in the middle of the fairway, right? I call it an elbow. I don't know if you're supposed to call it an elbow, but that's what I call it. But I absolutely sliced that ball. And so I ended up under a little pine tree and had to punch out. I took my 5-iron and punched it up pretty good, actually. And then I just had to chip up to the green with a gap wedge and left myself with a 6-foot putt. And I lipped that one out for a bogey. Hole 15. I finally got a par on hole 15, which is a par three. It's 175 yards, I think, is what it was playing on that day. So for me, that's usually in the 5 iron range. I'm not a very long hitter if you haven't figured that out yet, and dealing with the shoulder issues, that doesn't help. So I hit my 5 iron up there. Ended up right on the edge of the front end of the green, which is about 30 to 33 feet, I think, if I remember correctly. And I hit a pretty good putt up there and got it in close enough to drop my second putt for a par. So that was encouraging. It was a good hole. And then hole 16 is another par four, and I'm kind of trying to remember off my head right now what that. Oh, I remember this one is. This is one where it's pretty straight out, but then it drops down. The fairway kind of drops off from me about 200 yards out. I hit I don't know, it's about a 222-yard drive on that one, so that was pretty good for me, like right now. And I ended up, just about 115, 120 yards away from the hole, and I hit my 9 iron. I pulled that one way left, almost hit it off the golf course. Had a 45-yard chip that I ended up making. I hit that to 21 feet and ended up two putting that one for a bogey. And then hole 17, it's 340 yards, and there's this hole to the left side of the fairway. Really, it's all left of the fairway. There's a clump of trees, and then there's a little bit of a pretty narrow little alleyway kind of between the two trees, a little path, and then there's another set of trees there that's very tempting for you to get through because the hole goes off to the left there. So your fairway is off to the right of that, but I don't know if I've ever actually tried going right of those trees. I always try to go through them and get through the fairway. And that's what I tried today. And I hit one of the trees. And so that ended up in like a 175-yard drive because it dropped right there. There's a little hill there right where my ball was at. And I went ahead and hit my 5 iron into the side of that hill and basically squibbed a little ball up just a little ways and ended up having to take another approach shot. So I bogeyed hole 17. I finished the hole fairly strong with my short game, but ended up being a bogey. It cost me too much at the beginning. So hole 18 is plays 530 yards, and it's a dog leg left. And I hit my drive about 230 yards, but that's right at the edge of that where the dog leg is at. So I had to kind of try to get over a couple of trees there that are right on the elbow. I did all right. I had a 7 iron over to the right side of the fairway and left myself with about 130 yards. So I pulled my 8 iron. I fatted that one. Like I don't even know how to describe how bad that was, but I think that ball ended up going about 120 yards still. So that ended up not killing me too much. But I was short and left of the green, hit a 29-yard putt or 29-yard chip, and then made a par putt on that one. So I was able to recover. So all bogeys except for two pars and one double. So for me, honestly, that's not horrible for the way that I've been playing and where I'm at right now. Obviously, I'd like to play better. I hit like roughly 50% of the fairways, I believe, if I remember right. I hit 50% of the fairways. I gave up most of the strokes really on approach shots that were pulled. I had a couple pretty good pulls on there, and then I had four putts that were within the 6 to 10 foot range. That I left a couple of them right on the edge of the hole, either right in front of it or just the left of it or whatever. Just kills me. I mean, that was four strokes that easily I could have had a three. Now this was a par 35, so it still would have been a fairly high score, but for me, I would have been really happy with that. Next week, I'll see if I can do this, improve on what I did here this week. I took the screenshots now, and I'll put them in here in editing, but I'm going to see how I can continue doing these and doing those kind of uh, post round updates. I'll probably only do one post round update a week unless I have a couple that I get in that I'm really wanting to share or think would be things that you guys want to hear. Anyways, that's kind of where things were at. Yeah, so continuing the two-man scramble. I played Saturday for my league with my buddy, and I think we did shoot a 39 here this week with my playing partner for that league. This week we're back to Dutch, and looking forward to that. And I'm gonna try to get. I might only get one 9-hole round in outside of that, just because of what I'm dealing with my shoulders, and I'm trying to get them to heal up. But my goal is to try to play 27 holes a week, whether I do one 18-hole round or two 9-hole rounds, and then my golf league round. That's my goal. That's what I'm trying to do right now. So But I do have a question that I would love to hear your answers on. If you would, watch the video and any of this is helpful for you, and you're somebody who really enjoys assessing your game and figuring out where you're doing well and where you can improve, I would like to know what have you found helpful for assessing your round? So after your round, what do you do? How do you recap it? Like I just kind of went through a recap for that 9 hole round. I'm curious, what do you do? What do you track? How do you track it? Do you do pen and paper? Like, how do you do that? And, with the intention of improving your game, figuring out what you're going to work on and how you're going to get perform better for the next round. So if you would, I would greatly appreciate any comments you have on that. Like, how do you assess your rounds? And what works well for you? What would how do you wish it was easier? Anything like that. Anything around you played around, and how do you assess where you're at with the goal of improving for the next round? So drop your comment on that. Remember to always like, comment, share. All those things help me out a whole lot. I'm grateful to be talking about golf again. I've been enjoying the Faith Freedom Golf thing, but that's really been taking a lot of energy out of me. And I haven't talked golf on here in a while. So I'm very happy to be talking about golf. So that's it for today. I would just always remember progress isn't perfect, it is consistent. And like I've learned recently, consistently inconsistent results in progress that you're not looking for. I'm just not where I would like to be. So uh, let's get out there, let's play the game, let's have some fun, and let's just be consistent in the things that we know are going to help us along the way. Thank you so much for your time as always, and have a great week. We'll see you next time.